listening to The Two Marks exclusively on the Pod Station.
Welcome, listeners, to a new show brought to you by The Two Marks. This time we are embarking on a vicarious journey.
I'm going to interrupt you there. It's not new anymore.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
It is new.
It's not new.
It is new.
It's not new. How many
Doesn't
films
matter.
have we done now?
8.
10.
Yeah. What point?
This is episode 10.
Well, so what point do you drop the word new?
Never, because if we have a listener who just tunes into episode 10 because it's the most recent one on the subscriber list, it's new to them.
Oh wait, check episode 4 for this discussion. I think we had a new car versus...
We did, yeah. So if I have a new car that's not actually brand new, but it's new to you because you've not seen it before, is it new?
Okay, continue your intro.
Oh my God.
I don't apologise, and I insist on this staying in.
Okay.
Email in on whether or not you feel it's new or not.
Objection hearsay, Your Honour. Objection overruled. I'll continue. Welcome, listeners, again to a newer show brought to you by The Two Marks. This time, without interruption, we're embarking on a vicarious journey of discovery through the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hold on to your hats as we follow one person's experiences, watching all 28 movies in chronological order. This episode, we're reviewing Captain America, Winter Soldier. Welcome to the Marvel Marathon and a little bit more. Let me introduce my friend and interference co-host, Mr. Mark Pollard Ali.
Well, you see, we also call it the Marvel Rewatch as well, so there's a discrepancy there, and I feel we need to leave how many films we've got to watch out, because that shows how long it is between recordings because obviously Marvel keep on releasing more stuff and we're clearly not keeping up at this juncture, although things are going to change.
They are.
We are now in a position where we will more consistently, for all 2 of our avid listeners,
Thanks, Mum. And Dad.
and my mum.
And your mum.
Actually, we've got 4 and my dad.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mo.
Mo in Dubai.
I'm going to give a shout out to I met Mo in Dubai, who listens to all of these shows. God bless him.
So in Dubai, you met the one person in the entirety outside of the UK who listens to our podcast.
And he said you were a right knob.
Well, yeah, but he also met you, so he knows that you are.
Yeah, he said I was a knob as well.
Okay, the
He-
two knobs.
He only listens for Ish. And
He
he
raves.
thinks she's a knob as well.
Well, the other addition to this is that you've now got Ali attached to your name.
I know, I did note that.
So did you want me to just keep that as Pollard then?
No, you do
I
what
see.
you want. I
So
don't care.
You're selective in your criticism.
Oh, well, no. Whatever.
Objection overruled.
He's proud of the alley.
Boom.
It wasn't on the last one.
If you haven't listened to the last show, go and check it out on all of the major podcast platforms. We covered Iron Man 3.
Correct. You two have been listening to it, haven't you?
Yeah, it's mega.
You listened to it. I'd completely forgotten how much of a shitstorm you kicked up for me in the last episode. My bad back has recovered from sleeping on the couch for 2 weeks as a result of that little doozy.
You're welcome.
I know, when he was nearly married and already on the couch.
How was it?
We're 3 months in now.
What, the newly married has been on the
Be
couch?
on the couch.
Well, fortunately, there was no metal that came into contact with me nuts.
Of course, because we were doing Iron Man and the nuts.
The Nutcracker.
Nutcracker, yeah.
Or Mark 42.
He's still in the cupboard.
I would have paid good money to see that, if I'm honest.
Some people pay good money for the Nutcrackers.
That's true if you're in London. London listeners, thanks for listening.
But yes. Anyhow, I suppose we should explain. Well, you've already explained in your introduction.
Because that's the whole point of
I
the
should have
introduction.
stopped intervening.
Without interruption, it worked well.
Yeah, I guess. Hi, Ish.
Hiya.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm not too bad.
That was just weird because you have just seen each other before.
Well, we've actually been sitting here for about an hour and a half grilling you over the decoration of your office.
Hyperventilating.
Watch it for social media, because where we record is usually in Latham's office. And
Oh yeah, we should do the transformation on the 2 Marks. That'll be cool.
Yep.
We've been bullying Mark within
Okay.
an inch of his life, and bless him,
Has succumbed.
He's even tidied up.
Right out there, the Hoover, before you two come now.
I know, it's going to look mega.
Yeah.
It's going to be all...
What should be noted, you two have more photographs and videos of me on your phone than I have in the history of my lifetime.
Yeah.
I've also got a couple of me wank bank of you as well.
Thank you. I'm glad I help. If anyone wants to get to my OnlyFans page, I'll bring up the details soon once I've set that up.
It's a private link.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
You won't be mocking me when I make loads of money from it.
No, because you'll remember your friends, won't you?
Of course I will. Yeah, you're not one of them.
We should say, if you want to catch all these images, go onto the Instagram, Facebook and Twitter
Which we
pages.
will have a resurgence of now.
Yes, it's
We're
at
back.
the 2 marks. Drop on some comments, thoughts. Let us know if you're our 5th listener.
Well, we've had a bit of a sabbatical. Well, I say I have. You have.
Yeah,
You've been busy, haven't you?
life has gotten in the way the last 6 to 8 months, but it's now settled. We have now diarised.
We have. I've scheduled in.
We've actually scheduled shit. There is a formula now that we may or may not stick to.
We didn't start well, considering this should have been recorded
It was
yesterday.
supposed to be yesterday. We've had to move it already because busy and important. Or rather, we were on holiday.
Yeah. I know where you've been as well, because you had a jumper with a name on it. I wouldn't have known otherwise. Because apparently when you go on holiday, you need to bring back something that's got a name on it that tells people where you've been.
Yeah, fridge magnets are a thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't tell you where you've been, does it? Because I could get a fridge magnet and get a marker pen and write Gibraltar.
No, that's the thing that people do.
People have no idea what we're on about.
No, they don't. Do you want to explain what's happened?
I came back with a hoodie with the name of the place that I had visited on. I, as a general principle, avoid those things like the plague for obvious reasons. I just really, really liked the hoodie and made an impulse purchase. I thought I'd try it out today. Naturally, delay them, and there's just been making fun of the fact that I'm walking around with an advertisement for a city on.
Yeah.
Who, if they'd like to be a sponsor of the show, it's the 2 marks at thepodstation.co.uk.
The whole city.
Like Man City, will take nation state money.
I was impressed, though, that you managed to buy it in the first shop you went to.
Well, that's how I generally shop.
Most men shop the same way. Women make it turn into like Olympic sports.
Apart from me, right?
No.
You're quite good. You do still go into a couple of shops and you do ponder stuff more than me and him would.
Okay.
If you were going shopping with me and him, you just get whiplash.
Yeah, when I used to do Christmas shopping, my record for Christmas shopping was 8 minutes, and that wasn't putting money in a card. That was me going to Boots and going, everyone's having 3 for 2. Done. That's not even a hard thing to do. You make, well, women collectively, I know you fought for the vote, but you make shopping look like an Olympic sport. You go to the first shop and they go, oh, do you think we could probably get it for 10p cheaper? And you do 15 shops and you go, oh, babe, should we go back to the first shop we did 15 hours ago? Oh my God, me and him have gone home. He's watched the football match and I've had a Chinese banquet.
Yeah, he did pick his wedding outfit from the first shop we went in.
You look good as well.
First shop, first rail.
Yeah.
But
Walked
to be
into the
fair,
front door.
my dress was from the first place that I went into.
Yeah, but Oxfam doesn't count.
And I had set a really tight budget.
Yeah. So Oxfam actually was the
They
move.
had a tenner to work with.
Yeah. Sea Rider shop was shut.
Anyways.
Moving on back to it. What were we doing? We're
gonna-
going Marvel.
We're doing Marvel, but I think listeners need some backstory to why there's been a delay on the
And,
podcast.
you know, because they get to learn a little bit more about us, and then they love us, and then they tell their friends, and then we become millionaires.
When you get your spin-off show.
No, but maybe I should get a spin-off show.
No.
Maybe I should have a me
Well,
show.
you can, can't you? If you'd like to check out the packages at thepodstation.co.uk, there's a whole raft. We cover support for people who
They've just
want
gone up as
all
well
of it.
because you need to know your worth, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Doesn't work when it backfires, does it?
Hey, maybe I should.
Yeah.
Listen out there. Watch this space, everyone. Might be the Ishtar show at some point.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, one listener. Oh, it's you.
It'll be Mark.
Yeah, crying as he's listening. He's going,
Listen to the episode.
Be like, tune in now, or you're on the settee.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever works.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
But I know you're asking the vital question. Episode 10. It is your favourite and mine, Bucky Barnes.
Well, yeah, we should stress we're watching all of the Marvel films from the get-go, so if people are joining the Marvel bandwagon now, they can listen to them spoiler-free, so we're not letting anything slip about stuff that's gone ahead. In Ish's case, she hasn't got a Scooby-Doo anyway.
No.
It's irrelevant, but me and you have, we're up to speed.
Yeah.
But Ish hasn't, so we're letting her experience the full Marvel timeline. We're recording it so you can jump onto these and feel like you're part of the adventure whilst you catch up with the rest of the world.
And it's in chronological order.
Yeah, so we're doing it time chronological, not release chronological. So, for example, we started with Captain America because it was set in the 1940s. Whereas in release, that was the second or the third film. So we're doing it in so that everything fits in the right timeline, and actually it makes a lot more sense. So the Black Widow film we will see it, or rather Ish will see it in the time when me and you would have liked to have seen it, as opposed to when we actually did get to see it.
You've made this far more complicated. If you hadn't interrupted the introduction, it did actually say that.
Anyway, whatever.
But There you go. And also introduced to Ishtar in a way, because it's obviously one person's personal experiences, which is the person who we've introduced.
Yeah, you know.
But you're in a privileged position, aren't you? Because not only do you get
time with us too.
Well, that, but also we've seen...
There's a mic there, Mark. It's been a while since you've done this.
Yeah, because my spatial awareness has gone out the window. But you get our benefit of experience and expertise. Well, one of us has expertise, one of us has experiences of seeing the films and being able to share that to you.
Yeah.
So that's good, isn't it?
That's why I do it.
Why did you nod your head? The negatory?
For the lols.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. That is also true. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't get that on a spin-off.
No. Unless you're a guest.
We charge a small amount,
yeah,
don't we?
You need to know your worth, don't you?
£65 an hour.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about the film.
Yeah, so the film we're covering today is Captain America The Winter Soldier, which is the second Captain America film they released. Mm-hmm. Because we're watching it in time chronological order, we're watching it off the back of Iron Man 3, and then the film before that was it The Avengers Assemble?
Get together.
Yeah, the Avengers
General, reunion.
It was.
I can't wait till we get to the next lot of Avenger films where she comes up with some random titles.
It's sticky. Get together. Avengers get together.
Well, I've already been skitting saying that the Age of Ultron will be changed to Age Concern or something.
Watch this.
Help the aged.
Tin Man. Avengers Tin Man.
Yeah.
So, Ish, we'll start with you.
Yeah.
What were your general thoughts about this film?
Well, if you listen to episode 1 of our Marvel Rewatch, you all will have known for episode 1 and whatever Bucky Barnes was in after that Bucky was my favourite character. So I was quite excited that he came back in some form, although not the sexy version that I know of him.
I don't know, he's still buff. I mean, his hair leaves a lot to be desired.
Hair is horrible.
I'm not a big fan of long hair, but I did think...
No, we know that.
Something to get hold of.
Well, I thought... Mark! I did think that he suited the long hair with the mask and everything and the goggles.
I am all for Team Bucky, but with short hair.
Well, like kind of cropped.
Like it was in the first. So I like the film because Bucky's in it, and there's obviously an opportunity for Bucky to be in future films, because obviously we thought he was dead, but he's not. I'm not a massive fan of the Cap, as you know, because I'm Team Iron Man. So
I hear you.
Did anyone hear the rolling of my eyes then?
Yeah. Could we put a sound clap in there or something?
Well, the fucky bucky sounds better when you're from Manchester.
It does.
Fucky bucky.
Overall, the film was okay. There you go.
What do you think his pubes are like if he's let his hair go a bit rough?
Massive, like a bear settee.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, they probably would look like a rock star's bedroom.
Because when you're getting brainwashed, that's not going to be your top priority, or do you think they include it in
landscaping?
Do you think when they put him in that chair and put the electrifier things to his head,
like fry
and
him.
while they're clearing his brain, do you think they also clear his bits? Or do you think it's just wild?
I love that you're both looking at me for the answer to this question.
We were looking for your female input, because me and him could sit and talk about this quite happily.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a bit rough and ready down there.
It would look like a sort of clock spring.
Okay, moving on.
And plus, if he's left-handed, there's no way you want to be going with a razor down there with his metal hand, because he'd end up pulling it off.
I'm left-handed.
Yeah, but you haven't got a big metal... Is that why your left hand's shaking? What you do? Put your hands on the table, you. But you haven't got a big metal super hand.
Haven't I? You haven't seen my Inspector Clouseau grabber.
Oh, this is such a facepalm moment.
She said. I would love to have a metal arm. What would you do with a metal arm? Not that, obviously, because that would be dangerous. You'd have to set that to a special...
I don't know. It's not a superpower. There's other superpowers I'd rather have above.
No, it's not a superpower. But if you were enhanced somehow, you had a metal. So that metal arm. So, like, for example,
I would, because you're super strong, aren't you? So if someone's a divvy, you can just slot them,
punch them.
And,
yeah. I mean, I don't mean sort of violent thing, but like practical things, like open
you can lift
tins
up stuff. So I've been doing gardening.
Yeah.
So moving pots around, that's a piece of cake, isn't it, with your metal arm?
Well, it's not. It's a pot, but I get you. But no, like, what would you do with a metal arm?
I don't know, because I never thought about it. What a fucking random question.
No, because Bucky Barnes has got this arm now. That's his thing, isn't it?
Like, you're fine. I'll just carry the shopping a bit easier than I do today.
Boy.
She never carries the shopping.
That's so true. You carry the shopping.
So what you'd be able to do is point better with your metal arm.
Yeah.
Over there, please, Mark.
He's like, could you do it like this? Could you just, like people who go to the gym and they want to
Her arm would move
yeah.
faster.
Yeah.
Over there.
Toilet rolls there, aisle 2. So those people who go to the gym and just like kind of lift their arm and show their bicep off, you could just curl it in slow motion going, there, aisle 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Flower pots.
That didn't work out the way that I expected it to.
Did you like this film?
Yeah, it's all right.
Apart from Bucky, what was the other standout? Well, what we're going to do, we're going to start from chronologically.
Yeah, we'll
start
go
from
through.
the beginning.
I'll get your overview first, Mark, because I care.
Well, do you not want to go first? Because you always go last.
Okay.
Let me get my metal arm and point to you.
I'm a Cap man, so it's always good to see Cap. I think Captain America films are the best trilogies as far as I'm concerned, and this was right up my street. I love the whole espionage thing. Yeah, it's great. Loved it. It was brilliant. And when it came out at the time, I was equally enthusiastic about it.
Good. Well, I like the film for the similar reasons. It had a sort of spy vibe to it.
70s espionage, isn't it? It's like Bond.
Well, the reason why I love
Man
this
from Uncle.
all of that. Well, I was brought up on Mission Impossible, Man from Uncle, all of those, because that was the era of sort of the Cold War, wasn't it? So a lot of that stuff going on, and it had sort of a vibe to the Black Widow backstory. Not that we're talking about that in the future, but that was something that we've already established from Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
So it kind of harked back to that. And also I really liked it because there were so many Easter eggs in this film and so many like links to other things. I was just really, really impressed, but particularly with the comic situation. It's just nice that they've honoured that. And also Winter Soldier, as a villain, I quite like him because he isn't actually, he hasn't got a superpower. He's just enhanced, so it makes sense. It's practical that he could be. So, like Iron Man, for example, is not a superhero in so much as he's not like Superman, but he's using his mind and his money to make equipment that enhances his ability to be super.
But he's an amazing villain because he doesn't mean to be a villain as such.
He's not an anti-hero, so he's not like Deadpool.
Well, he's being brainwashed.
Punisher.
He's a good person who's being brainwashed, so he is a baddie and he's doing bad things, but there is an emotional caveat, which means you can't hate him as a baddie, but you do still have to fear him, and you still can't justify the things that he does, which is an amazing thing to do in a film, because you both feel empathy for the baddie, but also can't quite like him, because at the end of the day, he's still a murderous baddie.
So how does this track then with your comments when Ishtar said Loki's a bit cheeky, and so you said he killed loads of people? Does that make sense?
But he's being brainwashed. He's not in control of his own mind. He's being tortured to the point where he doesn't know which way is up, to the extent that he doesn't know who he is. When Cap says Bucky, he's like, who the chuff's Bucky? I've got no idea who this Bucky is you're talking about. When you're at the mental place where you don't even recognise you are that person, then you've been brainwashed sufficiently where if someone says, see that person over there, go and shoot him, and he'll go and shoot him because he's being tortured to the point where he thinks that's the right thing to do. And so it doesn't make the shooting of that person a good thing, certainly if you're not the person who's getting shot. But by the same token, as the person watching the film, you can sympathise with the fact that he's not doing that voluntarily, because he's doing it because he's being programmed, and therefore it adds that wonderful caveat. It's a bit like Loki, where you can't hate him as a baddie because there's sort of that, almost that emotional element.
Well, he's cheeky, isn't he?
He's definitely not cheeky.
Loki's not cheeky.
Oh, Loki's cheeky.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. But I was actually saying that because we were saying that he wasn't as bad as other villains. Mr. Pollard here was picking up on the fact that he's killed people, and that's why I'm saying that with Winter Soldier, he's been brainwashed, hasn't he?
I would say that Winter Soldier is a better person than Loki, because Loki doesn't have the excuse of brainwash. Loki's doing shit for his own benefit. And if anyone's listened to our previous episodes, they will understand that I don't buy into the cheeky description. But because he has a wit and a charm about him, you almost let him get away with stuff that you wouldn't let other people get away with. With Bucky, he almost gets a bit of a free pass because it's not him that's doing it, it's the Winter Soldier, and they are two distinct personalities with different moral principles. Bucky wouldn't do that. The Winter Soldier does. The Winter Soldier is a personality that's been imposed upon him in some of the most horrific circumstances and over which he has no control. Bucky, he does, and therefore Bucky is a person you like, and the Winter Soldier is someone who you fear.
And I do think that particular character is a really good one to develop and delve into, isn't it? Because, like you say, the two of them are kind of diametrically opposed to one another, and it gives the duality to the character, so you can develop both the Bucky Barnes side and also the Winter Soldier side, because both have backstories. Because one's come out of the other. Because Bucky Barnes would have probably been dead when he fell from that train. He wouldn't survive that fall.
No.
Obviously, he's damaged his arm from the fall, and maybe he caught it on a tree. I don't know. Maybe he could have survived it, but I think he's been enhanced and then brainwashed, sort of similar to the alleged trials America did in the 60s and 70s. Was it MK Ultra?
No idea.
People Google MK Ultra. It's a thing that took place in the 60s and 70s, probably earlier in the 50s.
Oh, is that the Manchurian?
That's what it's
thing?
based on.
Right, okay.
They were using a lot of scientists that came out of the Cold War and out of World War II Russia, because America, in one of the operations they did was take all of the scientists from Germany. Those scientists then went into doing sort of testing on things to see if they could have super soldiers. A lot of the comics is based on things that have took place anyway, so it's kind of an MK Ultra thing, or LSD trials, to see if they'd have soldiers that would just go into battle.
Where do you sit on it? Because you obviously were a massive fan of Bucky when he was Bucky. He's not really Bucky in this. No,
but I mean, one of the reasons this film wasn't like massively great was because of all the baddies that we've had, he isn't the best baddie. Because I've got an affection for him, so he's not, like you both saying, he's not bad, and so he wasn't a strong baddie for me anyway. Hydra is obviously the bigger baddie in this thing, and you're like, oh shit, they've infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. and for this long, and they've been doing all of this backstory, so that was more of an overarching baddie than Bucky himself.
Yeah, but I don't think Bucky is the baddie in this film.
The Winter Soldier character.
I don't think the Winter Soldier is the baddie in this. Hydra is clearly the big bad in this film, and
yeah.
I fundamentally disagree with you about the fact that the baddie wasn't a great baddie, because they've just brought down S.H.I.E.L.D., which is the main hero institution that we've followed for the last 9 movies. Yeah,
across multiple people, I guess, is the difference. Whereas you've had a single person to kind of fight, whereas this was a bit more overarching, wasn't it?
I think what you're picking, which is a difficult thing where it sits in, is you've got Hydra, which is the collective. It's a
faceless organisation.
Yeah, so like AIM, there's a villainous organisation that includes several villains that could be ranked higher or lower depending on their level of villainy. So sort of Baron von Zucker being one of them. There's loads of them, to be fair, without going into all of them. But I see Winter Soldier as merely an enforcer
of that.
Yeah. So he works for Hydra, and somebody will say, right, you need to kill such and such.
Yeah.
So they go.
He's like the equivalent of us when we go shopping. You're Hydra and I'm the Winter Soldier, so you tell me where I have to carry the bags, and I carry the bags.
Yeah.
What? That's such a negative. You are on the sofa. No, but on a separate note, like them and I like to have the baddies in our list, our top 10 list.
Yeah, our list is good. Yeah,
because we're similar in our list.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily put Hydra on lists because they're not. It's not one singular person. It's a big organisation. So that's where I've struggled.
If you tried to put it on the list, I would absolutely refuse to accept it. Your lists are dodgy enough with both of you putting on people who've literally flashed on the screen for 0.2 of a second. Putting an entire organisation in as a single thing is not acceptable.
I would agree with that. I realised the trouble I had trying to get the Mandarin on there.
Hang on a minute, are you amending your list as we speak? No. Are you taking the Hydra off there?
The Hydra were never on there because of the reasons you've just highlighted, because you couldn't put Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on there.
No.
because it's a collective
Yeah.
and there's loads of people in that organisation. However, I know how hard it was to get you to let me put Terry Slattery on there, even though I did some research and found him named as the Mandarin on another thing when I Googled it. You would not let me put him in as the Mandarin. So I know you for certain, even if I wanted Hydra on, how vehemently you would oppose that decision.
Veto it, yeah.
And quite right.
Yeah, so I'll let you have that one. But yeah, so he would be the person you'd then send to kill someone, because obviously Hydra being so sprawling, there's just so many people that are included in that. And also not all the time.
Yeah.
You'd have people that dip into it, and then kind of the anti-heroes, I suppose, who are not really bad, but they're bad for a paycheck, so kind of for hire, I suppose. And then there's also what you determine as bad, because killing isn't good, but then we can justify killing, can't you?
Yeah.
Why? What?
I'm not sure you can.
No, I think we have.
I think we did.
Who?
On many occasions in the last 10 episodes.
Yeah.
I don't think I've
And
ever
the new
justified
listeners wouldn't have
killing
heard
anyone.
that. Well, no, you can justify it if you thought it was a valid thing to do.
Absolutely.
No.
Yes.
You two are sitting on a little moral precipice of your own. I shan't be following you.
Okay.
Right, well, let's hope somebody who you find doesn't want you killed and you can justify it yourself. Anyway.
Moving swiftly. So what I think we'll stick to the format of we'll run through the film chronologically and discuss the points as they crop up, because that seems quite an orderly way of doing it, I guess. So we start here, and actually it's an amazing place to start because it allows me to pull Latham on a point that we were debating.
Where the fuck did that come from?
From
Debating.
From Scotland.
It was a terrible Scottish, if that's what it was.
No idea what that was.
We debated this. It might have even been in the last Cap film or the Avengers film, where we were discussing about Captain America having super speed. Do you remember this conversation?
Mm-hmm.
And you insisted he didn't have super speed, that he just had super strength and was enhanced. And I specifically referred you to this very scene at the beginning of the film where he's lapping the Falcon, as we now get to know him, loads of times by running at what I would call, and it's not Flash speed, I mean, he's not going to win a race.
Speed. He's not,
or Superman speed, but it's still fast.
Right, and I also went and did some research into this, which I remember, and I went and found out that he doesn't have super speed. He has the ability of sustaining a running speed because he's enhanced. So the super serum gives him longevity. So,
And speed.
no, he can.
Well, yeah, because he was lapping the guy. He
was,
was obviously going
because
fast. So either what's his face was
going
dead
slower.
slow.
No, was getting tired. So if you and I started running and our stamina was at different levels, would you slow
Well, no,
down?
because in the first film he was keeping up
Wait,
with the
that's
taxi.
such an image, you two running around the lake.
Right, if we
It'd be
started,
hypnotic watching me in a pit.
How long would that last? Like a minute?
if anyone's seen Thor Ragnarok, that's what it'll be, literally.
We
If
would
you're-
smash the first half of that 100 metres, wouldn't we,
Yeah,
mate?
man.
What would happen? I'll tell you what would happen is
And then you'd both fall
male-
over each other.
male competition would kick in. We'd both start sprinting, and over a set period of however many
both
kilometres,
throw up.
we'd both die.
Yeah,
at the
you
end,
would.
we'd both be dead. So A&E would be filled with two fat men. But basically, what I said to you at the time, which I still maintain, and please, if you support this decision, ring in, phone in, send an email, whatever. Basically, he does not have super speed. He has enhanced abilities, so he can sustain a reasonable speed for longer. You and I would have to slow down.
He was fast.
No.
He was as fast as a taxi in the first film. and he
Shall I
was-
be the voice of decision on this?
Well, anyone who's listening is the voice of decision, logical reasoning, and the fact that if you can run for a longer period of time. So, okay, if you were running against Mo Farah, right?
Yeah.
How long would you be able to run with Mo Farah for before you were retired?
That same 50 yards.
Okay, so would you say then you'd stay the same speed, or would you slow down because you were tired?
Well, slow down.
So would he pass you?
Well, yeah.
But has he got super speed then?
But in that first 50 yards, when I might be able to keep up with him, I wouldn't be able to run as fast as a taxi in that 50 yards.
He wasn't running fast as a taxi. He lapped him.
He was. In the first film, Captain America kept up with the taxi.
Yeah.
How
right.
fast was the taxi going?
Taxi speed.
Unless you've got a speed of the taxi.
Well, all right. The guy driving the taxi was a baddie who was trying to escape whilst being traced down. So one assumes his foot was pretty heavily pressed on the accelerator. And whilst I accept that taxis aren't the fastest cars in the world, they can at least do, say, 30 miles an hour, which is a lot faster than I can do even over 50 yards.
Well, to be fair, if there are any taxi drivers around here, they can't do 5 miles an hour. I've never seen a taxi driver around our area doing 5 miles an hour. But if the taxi driver was doing 5 miles an hour, I could keep up with a taxi.
I know.
It's all relative. How fast was a taxi going for you to say he was keeping up with it?
Let's go back and watch this film. He was going more than 5 miles an hour.
Right, well, what I'll say is what I said at the time when you brought this up. He cannot do super speed.
What do you think, Ish? Because we both have planted our flags in the sand and aren't budging.
I'm not moving from my initial decision, which was he has super speed. Let's move on.
I'll take both of you.
So if you want to defend Latham, you'll have to write in because he's losing 2-1 at the minute.
Yeah, you don't need to defend me because facts are facts. And at the end of the day, whatever you feel is not a fact. He has no super speed. He has enhanced abilities. End of story, moving on.
We do get to meet a new character, of course, in this opening scene.
Sam Wilson.
Sam Wilson.
Yes.
Who later becomes the Falcon. In this film? Well, he does become the Falcon because he turns up in this film wearing wings.
He does have wings.
Called the Falcon.
All right, duo team.
So
you're still on the settee, by the way. It's all well and good flip-flopping across the things here going, oh, thank you, hubby. But you will be on the settee by the end of this episode.
What do we think of him in this film?
Rubbish.
Lovely.
Do you not like him in this film?
Well, it's this... I mean, I suppose this comes down to the thing. I think he's a good character. The Falcon is a bit like... You've got... thanks to Iron Man, you're the Falcon. But you're sticking with just this film because you think I'm going to be bringing in the other stuff. I'm not, because at the end of the film I realised that once again Iron Man has enabled the ability of someone else. So so the super serum, thanks to Tony Stark's dad. The shield, thanks to Tony Stark's dad / oblique Tony Stark. Tony Stark happens to have technology he's designed for wings, which he gives to a random guy that Captain America arbitrarily goes, oh, he's my mate because I passed him on a running field. So he's not a superhero. And also, you've already brought this up in a previous conversation. If he didn't have those wings, what's his value? Bad language.
Well, what do you think, Ish?
I liked him. I like the fact that he is a bit soft and not so special. He's just a nice person.
It's a bit harsh, soft. I mean, he's a trained soldier.
I know, but I mean, he's not got super serum.
Six words of
and he's kind, and he takes them in, and he's understanding, and he's rational. I mean, you needed that in this film.
And witty.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I didn't really get the wit as much.
I thought he was witty. He made a funny wit when Natasha turns up in the fancy car. He invites Cap to the VA meetings, saying you'll do me a solid and I'll look really cool.
I think you're grasping at straws. I mean,
there's loads of examples of
being
quite funny.
I mean, a bit like Ishtar. Now and again, she'll say something hilarious, but it has to be a full moon.
But what a full moon!
Absolutely cracking.
Cheeky sod.
True though. So he's another character, but I think he was just another character brought in so we could go, oh, we need to bring in the Falcon.
He's a sideline.
Yeah.
He's not a principal.
He's not a main thing. He's another person who is the counterpoint to Captain America, because Captain America's been frozen. So he's like, we were talking about PTSD in the last episode. This kind of sits in the war vet camp. So Falcon is ex-soldier, has obviously fought in wars that we don't know, in particularly in the MCU, and they've introduced him as a counterpoint to Captain America, who's literally been on ice for 30, 40, 50 years, whatever, and he's now telling him what's happened in history and you need to go and have a look at this, you need to listen to the Beatles, and gives them that list. And the two have a bit of a meeting of minds because they've both fought for the country, but in different periods of time. So war that we fight now is done with joysticks and gamers because it's done by drones. Captain America, Steve Rogers, was literally front line, running through explosions, being shot at. When Sam's character was fighting, it's done in modern warfare, so it's a different type of war. And they come back, and again, I suppose the similarity is when people came back from war in World War II, they were hailed as heroes, and then when sort of Sam's come back, they've kind of forgotten heroes, and that's why I suppose they're pushing that, which is, well, war's not the same anymore.
What did you think about Cap in this? There is an emotional poignancy about this film, I feel, about Cap as a character. We've seen him since the first film, which is obviously set in the 1940s during World War II. We saw him in Avengers, where we sort of get to see the humorous fish out of water aspects that people like Tony Stark can make fun of slightly. But this film is very much the first film where they really draw upon, and it's what Marvel do well, where they don't ignore major story threads just because they've moved on to the next part. And so they repeatedly call back to the fact that this is a guy who's from the 1940s who's now in the modern day. So they make reference to the fact that all his mates are dead. When Natasha's saying, well, what are you doing this weekend? And he's like, well, all my mates are dead.
Yeah, Howling Commandos.
Where he's sitting on the bedside of his true love, Peggy Carter, who is now 1,000 years old and on her deathbed. There's kind of a real poignancy to the fact that this guy, whilst looking amazing and having superpowers and now being in the modern world, so woohoo, he can have a Facebook account. That's all great and fine, but actually all the stuff he loved and cared about has long since disappeared.
It's very emotional. It plays on the emotional side of him and his character, I think, in this film. With everything that you've said, and then with the Bucky thing as well. It softens him a lot.
The Bucky thing is he's the only other person who's lasted the same time as Captain America. So he's now in, like you say, a fish out of water. The Sam Wilson character is the person he can speak to, because obviously they've both been fighting in wars. The only other person who he doesn't know at the time, with it being Winter Soldier, till he has that reveal, is the only other person who knows him at the time before he went and sort of ditched that plane in the first film. So it's nice that he's got Sam Wilson, because he can talk to him. He can
relate to it, even if he can't specifically.
Well, history. So Sam Wilson will know what took place in there. That's the difference is Bucky Barnes was with him at the time. Because if you remember, he couldn't get in to he was too small and too wimpy, and then they were like he was trying his best to get into the...
Well, Sam can relate to losing someone he cares about in battle. He can relate to the fear you probably experience when you're in the middle of a war zone and there's bullets whizzing past your ear and there's a chance of dying. So he can relate to the basic principles that Cap has experienced. Absolutely. Even though the circumstances might be slightly different.
Yeah, well, war never changes. It's just it gets more advanced, and that's the difference, really. His is modern, and the other one was literally bullets and grenades and things. And when they've moved forward now, you've got tanks and the ability to cause more damage because of technology, which is why you go to Tony Stark, and he was one of those providers of weaponry, and he makes the decision to stop and do things for good. So he is a really good character to blend with Captain America. Well, let's say Steve. It's not Captain America. He's meeting Steve Rogers. So Steve Rogers is a good character to have with Sam Wilson, and the Captain America then plays off against Winter Soldier, and I think that's a good dynamic, because you've got someone from his past who knows him, and now someone who he's kind of building a friendship with moving forward, and they've both got, as you say, the relatability.
Did it make you love him a little bit more? The emotional bit?
No.
What about the mega cool fucking scene at the beginning with the boat, where he goes on and basically does all the work?
Yeah, but that's what you expect from Captain America, though.
He's a bit arrogant, because I don't need a parachute. I mean, there's an Easter egg in that, really, from the comics, but I mean, a bit arrogant when he just jumped off, threw his hat. Well, it was.
Why is it arrogant? Why bother wasting time putting a parachute on if you don't need one?
Well, don't tell anyone. Because then you got sort of...
Yeah, but he do. Well, he didn't need to tell them, because Natasha and the other fellow, who's the head secret special forces guy, who ends up with a burnt face.
Oh, Brock.
Yeah, both him and Natasha both knew he didn't need a parachute, so why did he need to tell them something they already knew? It was only the other fellow who didn't know him, because he's clearly a pleb who was disposable and actually ought to be thanking Captain America's lucky stars, because if he'd have had to he was essentially the red shirt in Star Trek. So if Cap hadn't done all the dirty work, that lad would have been going home in a coffin.
Yeah, a bit arrogant though.
What? You two are impossible.
What?
It's not funny enough for me.
he did
Iron
that-
Man is funny. Thor is funny. Captain America is too serious.
Iron Man did
He's
that
cool.
whole...
He's not cool.
Iron Man
He's
did
not
that whole
cool.
scene in Iron Man 2 when he threw his helmet out the plane and he gave Patty Pops. He gave that woman he fancies. He gave her a kiss and then jumped out after his helmet. That's what she said. But all Captain America does is go, I'll throw my helmet out and I'll pretend I'm Tony Stark and I'll go, where I'm going, I don't need parachutes. Okay.
I can't believe you think this first scene.
Bell end.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool scene, but it's not mega. It's not the best scene I've ever seen.
What about Natasha sneaking in to download the database? Is that cheeky?
No, she's doing what she needs to do because she's been given orders.
Yeah, but
That's
she's
what I
been
would
cheeky
expect.
doing it behind Captain America's back.
No, because Captain America isn't a boss, so she's doing what she's been told to do, as Coulson had to do.
Yeah, follow orders.
Exactly.
And she isn't.
It worked well for the Nazis, did that, following orders.
He says that all the time. That's his go-to.
That's your argument for everything.
Yeah,
by the way.
well,
When we're
it's
getting
also not an
shopping.
excuse. Every time everyone says following orders, it's just...
Can you just get some lighters? Oh, it didn't do well for the Nazis, did it? Can you pick up some bread from the shops? Well, didn't do well to Nazis. They love loaves.
Indeed.
But she's following all. The way I look at it is, he's enhanced, right? Yes, we know from the comics code. It's not spoilerific. She has some of the super serum in her. She can't run fucking fast, by the way. Just for the record. So if you're going to use that argument,
she's only been given partial.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
your
but
answer?
she's got faster reflexes.
Do you know what you sound like? You're like someone who's been vaccinated from COVID.
She's got faster reactions, which is speed, which is the same
Not
as
though.
super speed.
Anyway.
Where have you seen that on camera?
Anyway,
She hasn't
moving
too.
on.
Anyway,
Moving
from a
on.
leadership
Anyway.
perspective, as Fury is a great leader, he will have assigned Captain America to
Is
do
he though?
one
He can't be
task.
that good because all the flipping baddies are all been working alongside him, and he had a Scooby-Doo about it.
Sometimes shit happens.
On a global level.
Apparently
That's
so.
what the Nazis said.
Name me one politician that gets everything right.
We're not allowed to do that for politician
Yeah,
reasons.
but by the same token, the politicians who are in charge don't then find themselves with a complete super villainous organisation just popping up going, oh,
Really?
hello, we're taking over.
Really?
Oh, hang on, though. The Bilderberg Group. We're getting quite political here. It's like a Soviet. What you call it?
Basically, everything that happens in this film happens in real life, and I did tell you this, Pollard, because I said Hydra infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. and doing what they need to do behind the scenes to make things happen. That shit happens every day. Oh, you just got a shiver.
I just got a shiver. I think that was because
Hydra.
you were speaking such bullshit.
Either that or you just climaxed.
I mean, Fury is not a good leader, particularly.
I think we're jumping around here. Let's get one thing sorted, right? They don't have super speed. They're just enhanced, right?
How long have you been waiting to get that off your chest?
Black
You've
Widow.
got your point now. You've gone so far back.
I know. Yeah, Black Widow is following orders, which is fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nick Fury, no excuse, because they've obviously infiltrated that well over time. But I do take on board there are parallels to everyday life.
100%.
Because if you think about who runs governments, it's not politicians, it's the big business.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
So do you have a major issue then with the fact that Captain America's miffed because they were sent on board to do a mission, whilst Natasha, who he understood to be there to provide support to him in achieving the mission he set, also had a side mission, which put at risk what he was trying to do?
No.
Because she was off doing something else when she was supposed to be doing the thing that he thought she was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, compartmentalization works. He does not need to know her mission.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he does. He does if he thinks that she's supposed to be standing there ready to shoot that guy coming through that door whilst he does his thing that he's been told to be there, and actually it turns out she's not there to do that because she's off doing another thing.
He's micromanaging now, which is not
exactly
not good use of her time.
Exactly.
Oh my god, you two are so right.
I'm totally with Layden on this.
What?
Yeah.
No, he's got his mission. Why is he bothering himself?
He's in charge of that mission, so he's in charge of all those people there.
How do you know that? He's in charge of that mission, not in charge of their mission.
He was in charge of that team. He was sitting there, having been told he was in charge of that team. What he didn't know was actually one of the team he was in charge of, he wasn't in charge of because she had another job, which she reported directly to somebody else. What his what he's miffed about was not that she necessarily went off to do that thing. He's miffed that he didn't know she needed to do that because he was in charge of her as he understood it.
That's a chain of command, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is why Fury's the ship manager.
No, but he managed properly, because what if Captain America couldn't have run dead fast away from the villain and got himself captured? He now knows the ins and outs of 2 missions.
I appreciate that, but
Boom, lay them just one.
I also but I also understand why Captain America's miffed, because he's like, well, hang on a minute, what happens if I'd have got killed because the person I thought was on my team to help protect me wasn't there because she was off wiping her ass?
No, I can see.
Anyway, I feel we're getting bogged down.
Well, I mean, we could go back to the fact that they haven't got super speed if you want, but basically, ultimately, what you need to be thinking of is, yes, he got a bit miffed because he didn't know the entirety of the mission, but for mission success, you can't know everything, because there are submissions. She's a trained professional. He should respect. You would agree with this, that she's well qualified to go and do missions. She's a bloody Black Widow.
He is, but the way the army works and the way the armed forces works is there's usually someone in charge of the team.
Yeah.
So that they can give orders, so there is someone organising and bringing together these skilled people.
That's right.
For the greater cause.
Yeah.
His argument is, well, I'm in charge of these skilled people, but actually I'm not in charge of these skilled people. I've just been told I am, but actually I'm not.
But bottom line, did it work?
But also, underneath that...
because Captain America's cool and super
Fucking hell, but
fast.
the point is it worked. Everything got out.
But
Everybody got out
underneath that bottom line, another line, which is, you brought up the army. The army don't know what the Navy SEALs are doing.
Boom.
Yeah, but they're not all on the same mission at the same time.
They
doing
might
the
well
same
be,
thing.
yeah, because the army are maybe in Helmand province doing things, and Navy SEALs are basically doing sort of...
I know, but in the example that you've just given there, that's not correct, because Captain America's on the same mission with these. But anyway,
right.
I feel we need to move on.
Under that
You
line...
need to move on, Pollard.
You need to move on.
You need to move on to that settee.
We find out just how good a manager Fury is because he lets us all into the secret Project Insight when Cap complains about...
That's a good project.
Is it?
Of course it is.
Well, it didn't work out.
Because Captain America is a nosy bastard, and what he needs to do is follow chain of command and not question the rules of command.
But if he hadn't have questioned it, then Hydra would have got in charge of all those 3 ships, and we'd all be dead, because I'm definitely getting shot by that machine, because if they'd looked at my past, they're definitely assuming I'm going to be a prick in the future.
Why would you be on that list?
Because I'm a prick now.
Oh, no, you're not.
Yeah,
Thanks, love.
Yeah, but I don't think
No, but I am really.
Bellend wasn't on the list of things to be killed for, was
Well,
it?
I don't know.
Yorkshire might
It'd
be.
be on my list.
Manchester's going.
Shut up.
No, it is, though. It is, though. To be fair.
What? I just got stood in your corner.
We'd move all your family out, but yeah, still Manchester's
We'll
going.
give them a 10-minute warning.
Oh, Lord.
But then we'd have to charge them all to come into Yorkshire and Merseyside.
Yeah, because you have to know your value, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
I've forgotten now. It's so funny.
Yeah, so if Cap hadn't stepped in and started asking questions, and then fundamentally the story hadn't moved on as it did, them ships would have killed all those people.
Okay.
So the ships wasn't a good idea.
Well, I think the ship's purpose were... Well, it was a good idea. It just was being misappropriated for the wrong reasons.
But isn't that the point that
Nick
all
Fury
these
wouldn't have
things-
allowed that to happen. If what you're saying is,
Yeah,
if
but
Nick Fury knew...
But that's if you agree with Nick Fury's principles. If you don't agree with Nick Fury's principles, then Nick Fury's intentions of the ship are probably just as bad as our belief.
What? Are you saying that Nick Fury is potentially a baddie?
No, I'm saying it's all about perspective, isn't it? If you have two people... So, taking the political system, if you've got... And any Americans listening to this, if you've got a Republican and a Democrat, if the Democrat's in charge of the red button and you're a Democrat, you think the right person's got the right power. If you're a Republican and the Democrat's got the button, you fundamentally disagree with that person's principles. You don't think the right person's got the power. And so Fury and Hydra, if you're a Hydra fan, then actually you think if Hydra in charge, they're doing the right thing. And if you're a Fury fan, then you think Fury's doing the right thing.
Okay,
So we've established both people think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, and the people... So the belief that what Nick Fury intends to do with those ships is more morally correct than perhaps someone else who might have had it. And I'm not saying Hydra, because obviously Hydra's is highly flawed. principle. But I'm just saying, Nick Fury's intentions, or say Captain America, if Captain America was in charge of those ships, would his intentions of how those ships would get used be better than Nick Fury's?
What did Captain America want to do with them?
Well, I don't know.
So
I'm just throwing out theoretical.
Probably.
What I'm saying is we can't just sit here and go, well, Nick Fury's a good guy, so it's all right giving him an enormous ship that can destroy everyone.
But isn't that the problem with giving people power? We assume we give the power to the people who are going to be...
Use it in the right way.
Essentially, he'd be a dictator if he was in charge of it, because no one voted him to be in charge of all that power and all
Why
that.
are you anti-Fury?
Well, I'm just
like you are a
challenging the
bit.
theory that just because he's in charge, he's got the keys to the flipping...
He is trying to fight the multiverse of villains. I mean, that's not an easy job.
Is that a sequel that you've just made up?
Yeah.
That's the new Doctor Strange film.
Episode 59.
He is, but he doesn't know who he's fighting, so what he's doing is just getting bigger and bigger weapons.
Yeah, because he's preparing for things that are going to come, because he's got an indication from the past 9 episodes.
So hang on then. So isn't he not doing what Tony Stark was doing, building loads of suits?
And the argument is that Tony Stark, we're assuming Tony Stark's... because of the comic books, Tony Stark is a good guy, but actually he's not in the comics. He builds all these machines. He's a drunk, alcoholic, abusive husband, domestic abuse and alcohol. So he's not a good guy, but he's in charge of all these machines.
Well, I mean, I think you could probably filter it down to those things if you wanted to be anyone to be bad. I mean,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Bad language.
Everybody's flawed in some way, and when you give them power, you're accepting that flawed person will make flawed decisions because they're not a perfect human being.
Yeah, well, that's why you have these organisations.
And so what you try and do is pick the least flawed person, or the person whose belief systems are perhaps best suited for having all that power, but we don't always get it right, and that's why we end up with politicians in charge who are flawed and moronic at times, and then we vote them out and someone else comes in to repair the shitstorm that's been created by the last moron.
But isn't it reasonable to think that anybody who takes over someone's, like, so the project we're talking about, Project Insight, Nick Fury believes that he is doing the right thing. Hydra believe
but so did Hitler.
Well,
Hitler thought he was doing the right thing. There was a large percentage of the globe who disagreed.
Well, that's what I'm saying
with
is
him.
everyone who takes over, whoever took over Project Insight, is it reasonable to believe they would think they were doing the right thing?
Yeah, well, Hydra thought they were doing the right thing.
Right, so, and the Oversight Committee.
Yeah, they thought they were right. So everyone always thinks they're doing the right thing.
So
the question is, what's the majority? All I'm saying is it's never black and white there. It's all right, Nick Fury's got the keys, so it should all be good.
I don't think people are saying it was the right thing. I think he was trying to protect the future of what threats could happen outside of the planet, because we've now established at this stage of the game, even though we're watching the films in chronological order, even if you watch them in phased order, you would see that we're now stepping outside of our planetary threats. So we're not just seeing metahumans and people who've just everybody, the worst kept secret ever, the super serum.
But having bigger guns doesn't necessarily.
Well, yeah, we don't know.
And
that.
actually, you're
using hindsight bias, which is what other things are out there.
Well, no, I'm talking about in the real world. Just having a bigger, better gun doesn't necessarily mean, because what happens is then the other people get bigger and better guns. So in the alien scenario of Marvel, the aliens turn up and they might not actually have any bad intentions towards us, but what they are met with is 3 enormous spacecrafts with big ass guns pointing at them, going, "Ooh, you."
No, but you're talking about humans who have come across aliens who have non-human capabilities to wipe out people.
Yes, but we also have the Avengers, so we don't need to worry about that shit.
Like what I'm saying, you're using your knowledge of what's come before. So basically, Nick Fury hasn't had the experience Tony Stark has, and he's seen the Chitauri. Nick Fury is aware of the New York battle because he was part of it. He's now saying that exists. We have had, prior to this, we've just got some tanks and some Apache helicopters, and we've got the big red button that nobody really wants to press because all we're going to do is kill ourselves.
Although, ironically, the big red button did fix the problem in that scenario. It did require Iron Man to direct it through the hole.
In that film, yeah.
But it did.
So, but I'm talking moving forward with Nick Fury's experiences, him as a person who is running Shield has all of this ability, which basically Tony Stark's still involved in, as per the engines, based on his experiences from the first, from the Avengers issue when they had the problems with the engines. He's now thinking, right, how do I keep this under wraps? So we have a deterrent, we have a thing that we can, so if anyone's spying on us, which you kind of go, well, that could happen, we could just basically go, oh, hello, we have got a way to get around this. And he hasn't built an armada, he's got 3 ships, it's hardly the bleeding battle
I'm with
well, you say that, but at the end, by virtue of our superhero fixing the problem, that those 3 not armada ships were going to kill millions of people across the planet.
Well, that was because it was misappropriated. Well,
my point is, you've just suggested he's not building an armada, and therefore there's a limited amount of damage that could be done. Actually, I would say that 3 ships that could kill that many people in such a short space of time is...
What's the alternative?
Well, I don't know. I didn't expect it to get quite so political and heavy.
That's the point. There is no alternative.
He built 3 ships as a preventative measure to being overruled by an alien force, and that was the reason. It's been misappropriated by a villainous organisation to kill people who are indigenous to the planet. His reason for creating 3 ships that were pretty high tech was from an external attack from an alien force that by definition has two outcomes. 1, they arrive and they're not trying to overthrow us, or 2, they arrive and they do want to overthrow us, and we buy ourselves some time with 3 ships that buys the time that we can put a call out to the Avengers and say, oh, we need some help, because the Avengers aren't everywhere, which is why in the comics you have the West Coast Avengers and other Avenger initiatives, because they're not all based in New York. And the alternative is they do turn up and they wipe us out. So there's 3 alternatives there. There's the peaceful, they're not peaceful, and they wipe out 3 ships. Or we can fight them off with 3 ships because they're not very good.
I mean, I don't disagree. I suppose for me, and this is why I love the Marvel films, this is why I think they've done it so well, everything's grey. There is no good or bad. There is no they're the right person doing the right thing, because there is always a grey element to it. And quite rightly, towards the end, when Cap is offering to help deal with the problem with the ships and Hydra, he's like, S.H.I.E.L.D. needs to go as well, because S.H.I.E.L.D. is a different problem, but it is still one and the same problem. And it's wonderful because up to this point you assume S.H.I.E.L.D. is good, although I suppose the argument is that I don't think we have, because we saw Coulson... Well, obviously, Ish disagreed with us, but Coulson was being an arse in Thor when he kept on stealing all their data and information and all that scientific work that she'd done. They just come in and take it. I
mean, for the benefit of this recording, I did actually also know that they'd been infiltrated before seeing this film, because I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
and it was touched. Well, that was their storyline. The whole storyline of season 4 was that Hydra had infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. So it was only natural that the film continued that story arc, because that's what they'd established.
And the point is, all of this is nuanced, and therefore it allows for debate, and that's what I enjoy. I enjoy throwing...
Oh, you hadn't picked up that vibe?
No, I enjoy saying, well, no, it's not black and white. There's grey, let's discard the grey. Oh, I do enjoy that as well.
Yorkshireman.
And I generally am. But anyway.
Are you though?
He'll say no now because the couch is looking particularly painful for that shoulder.
No, fuck it, I've got used to that couch now. Anyway, we go back to the museum, which is a nice callback.
Yeah.
A bit of a refresher, really, of what happened in the first film. Question, who did Peggy marry? Because she said she married one of the Howling... Commandos? Which one?
Did she say Howling Commandos, or did she say one of the people that he saved?
I don't know. I know she married someone who Captain America saved. I bet he was gutted about that. I mean, he won't be because he's such a nice guy, but a little bit of him maybe. Hope the guy had...
What you've created there is a paradox. Well, because the paradox we've got is we've seen other films that go after this, and technically based on those films, the person that is undisclosed could be the paradox we've created.
I know, but I was just curious. Clearly, it's a person unknown who she marries.
Which may be purpose for this particular point.
Yeah. And we also see him sitting by the bedside of Peg. How did you feel about that, Ish?
Oh, I just put old Peggy. Oh,
that's an insight that we've signed up for.
Yeah, I wanted to hear Latham's perspective on it because I know that you're all
Why? Because he likes old ladies.
No, he's the Peggy Carter buff. Peggy Carter.
Yeah, would you do
Britain.
old Peggy?
Would you do old Peggy?
You do both Peggy, but would you do old Peggy?
No.
Hey, she's good looking for an old lady.
Yeah, don't know. Oh, is she saying old as in old in this?
That old Peggy, yeah.
That old. I mean, I'd beat her in an arm wrestle now, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
Is that the turn off?
I'd probably snap her wrist. She'd probably got arthritis and osteo whatever it's called, rheumatism. She wasn't looking as old as old people get. I bet she stunk a piss though.
Oh, Latham.
Is that your thing?
Stinking a piss. It's not my thing, is it?
I don't know.
Check out my OnlyFans. It is a specific specialism. No, I mean, in this film, she looked good for her age, and we're not really establishing how old they're saying in this, are they? What she is.
Well, we can roughly work it out. What year was the film? Did the film come out?
Well, no, I don't mean in the age of the film. She was around in the 40s.
She's about 30 in the World War II.
Yeah, so she's going to be 70s, isn't she?
70 or 80s.
Yeah.
Because if she's got to officer level and she's head of the OSS, which is the precursor to SHIELD, so she's probably 30, 32, 33, and he's been in this thing for 40 years.
I've got it down as about 85, something like that. If she was 25 in 1948 and say you're now in 2008, she'd be about 85.
That was quick maths.
I'm trying to work out.
I mean, it might be completely wrong, but
any fans who've seen Agent Peggy Carter will know that so she's not young, is she? Let's just put it that she's probably 70s, let's say mid 70s, for the benefit of argument. Clearly, based on the scene we see, she's kind of on her last legs.
did he get you in the feels?
For what?
Well, the fact that Captain America, who loves Peggy, is sitting next to her, still loving her, and she's still loving him, but she's dead old and he's dead young and fit, and she's dead old, and yeah.
Yeah, but that's all Captain America, innit? He's a softie.
But I think he's got survivor guilt. Would he have gone and seen her if he didn't know her from the 40s? If he hadn't have lived longer than she had, and he goes back to see, if they grow old together.
I'm not being funny. He was trying to tap up a niece. Is it a niece?
Girl.
Oh, he's to Agent 13.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Because that's Peggy Carter's niece. Do we think that's because he recognised a little bit of the DNA?
Well, no, because she was given orders to.
She had a
keep an eye on
scent.
him.
A scent of the Carter about her. Ooh, Ode de Carter.
Weird.
Yeah, I'll never take off that.
Unless you're buying it.
Yeah, in which case, on my OnlyFans page, get yourself on there.
Exactly.
I'll wear that. And then sell it to you. Mm-hmm. So, no, she was given the mission to keep an eye on him, wasn't she?
She was.
And she followed those orders. So,
She did.
But also, it's kind of difficult not to be in the path of someone and then has a virile young American who has got super serum in him, would not want to,
End up with super serum in them.
Yep. Consensually, obviously, that would happen. How bad would that be, though, if sort of... That would be bad, wouldn't it? If you fancied, sort of Peggy Carter, and then you fell in love with someone else to find out it's the niece of the person who you've kind of been betrayed.
Well, I suppose you could...
Are you distracted right now?
You could justify it to yourself because Peggy's been married for X number of years and has clearly reproduced, and therefore she's not been living like a... She's been living like she's not been living like a nun. Well, she hasn't abstained all those years, so I think he can, with a clear conscience, move on and find himself another. Yeah,
well, she has some love interests. If you've seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Peggy Carter, you know that she's had some dalliances.
Anyway, Nick Cage.
Fury.
Luke Cage,
oh my God.
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury loving his car.
How cool is that?
I absolutely, under no circumstances, should be ever allowed to own or possess or be given one of those cars, because there would be carnage.
I'm behind you.
Everyone who cuts me up, everyone who doesn't say thank you when you let them in.
Oh my God.
Machine guns coming out.
True story.
They're getting blown up.
Yeah. Well, on the way to work this morning, I would have wiped out at least 5 people.
Exactly. And you can just ram them. If your gun fails, you just ram them.
Take him out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be on the phone to Tony Stark for the proper upgrade package, which is basically rockets.
Oh, I'd bankrupt myself with the upgrades.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, just give me more. I'll have all
And I
of them.
quite like the realistic thing about the bulletproof glass, which
Yeah.
is that it's not bulletproof. If you're going to continually, repeatedly fire at it, it will
Shatter.
eventually
yeah,
give.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of it. So I quite like the fact that it's based in some realism. I mean, a 50 caliber minigun in your passenger seat isn't probably realistic. However, if that's on the optional extras form, tick.
Yep, I'm having it.
Yeah.
It's a great scene, this.
I'd forgo an airbag for that.
I would. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, do you want an airbag in the passenger seat?
Obviously, I was going to say, obviously the passenger's airbag, not mine.
Yeah,
Sorry, love.
Noted.
she's in the boot. Well, to be fair, that's where most of mine are. So,
Mega scene. I love it.
Isn't it? It's good.
It is good because you don't expect that it's going to happen, and you don't expect that all hell's going to break loose, and he ends up where he ends up.
Did you think he was dead?
Yeah.
Did you?
I didn't think it was going to end good for him.
They made it very realistic, didn't they?
I would say there was
I think
uncertainty.
because they killed Coulson off, there is that nagging doubt in your head. You're thinking he's a big actor to kill off, and
But that's
there's so
why we
much
love
more. Can they have the? Should they? But
That's what I love about Marvel, because you just don't know who's going to go next. It's like Game of Thrones, where they could just cut a main character at the beginning and you're like, oh my god, what's going to happen now? And then it just gets better. That's what I love. So it was absolutely feasible that Fury could have gone and then not come back again.
now I am obviously wholeheartedly Team Cap,
hadn't picked that
and
up.
I love him
Went over my
dearly.
head.
However, there is clearly a chink in his armour, which is give him a USB pen and tell him to hide it, and he picks the world's fucking stupidest place to put it, which is in a public vending machine where if you put 10 quid in, or
Yeah.
more than 3 people use the machine, bearing in mind it's a hospital and there's fuck all else to eat in a hospital,
Yeah.
so you just go to the vending machine, you will eventually find a top secret USB pen land where your Kit Kat was supposed to. I mean,
Who are our
dude,
sponsor?
did anyone think
Ridiculous.
that was a good place to hide it?
There were better ones. I mean, he could have swallowed it.
Better, 5 minutes after you walked away, Natasha walked up and just put 10 quid in the machine and stole it. That's how good a place it was.
And also, those if you go by the trope in America with those machines that never work and they have to keep tipping them towards you and banging them, at some point you would have emptied it by pure simple
Default, yeah.
But you would have banged it because you wanted to get yourself a nutcracker, whatever.
Well,
It was a hubba
it'll
bubba.
be me.
Was it?
I'd have put my money in, it wouldn't have worked. So I'd
Kicked it.
have
You'd
kicked it,
punched
shaken
it.
it, and swore at it repeatedly until my USB pen landed.
Well, where I'm from, probably somebody would have stolen it.
That's true. Yep.
Yeah, it was stupid.
I mean, to be fair, what would have happened if it was around the hospitals by me? Some drunken pisshead would have. Well, that's the two things. Pisshead is drunk. Some trampy pisshead would have gone into A&E having hurt himself and then stolen it.
So yeah, I mean, this obviously alludes to the fact that he now knows that there's baddies in and amongst him, and when because we haven't mentioned him yet, but what's his face?
Armin Zola.
Blue
Pierce.
eyes.
Alexander Pierce.
That's the one.
The one who's in
Alexander
charge of the
Pierce.
oversight.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
He obviously speaks to Cap and gives Cap enough belief that he's not necessarily trustworthy. And then we get this amazing lift scene.
Yeah. Does anybody want to leave? And then he kicks everyone's ass. That's good. That is hardcore.
Yeah, it is, because it's Cap.
Yeah.
Iron Man couldn't do that without his suit.
Okay, whatever.
Just saying.
Well, his name's Brock Rumlow, just in case you're wondering.
Who?
In this film, his Brock Rumlow. No.
Ah, right. Yeah,
The guy who's the main one in the lift
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Brock Rumlow,
Right.
who is the one who ends up Winter Soldier.
With a face looking like an ashtray, yeah.
Yeah.
Good scene, though.
I enjoyed it.
And I like the fact that he's now on the run.
Yeah. It makes it exciting, doesn't it?
It does, particularly because it leads us on to the shopping mall scene.
And he doesn't know who he can trust, so it's quite an edgy part of the film.
Oh, is this when Cap puts on a cap? Because that's the best disguise ever.
Well,
Yeah.
isn't that like the Hulk putting on a cap?
Yeah, apparently Cap will. You see, I know who he looks like, and he's got you on back to front, that's why. I didn't recognise
Is
you
it
before.
Mark or is it Mark?
Who knows? Well, I'm kind of a decoy for him, just without the beard.
Exactly.
Today.
Yeah.
But you didn't recognise me.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I was like, where the fuck's your beard?
it worked.
But they weren't. It wasn't a disguise. They were just. He just wasn't walking around in his Captain America outfit.
Yeah, because that's the interesting thing, which is like the Superman thing, isn't it? Where you put glasses on and go, no idea, you're Superman.
Yeah, exactly.
Take the glasses off. Oh, there's Superman. That type of thing.
Yeah.
So, but when you are one of the most... So think celebrityism now. If David Beckham, who's not a sponsor, or anyone who's the high echelon of super celebrity, if they walk down the street with some shades on, do they become less recognisable because they're wearing a baseball cap and shades? And the answer is, on the postcard, no. Because they're not. Because they're most recognised
To be
people.
fair, can I say,
Yes.
most women celebrities probably you would not notice them because they won't have a loads of makeup on and look like the rest of us.
A lot of women celebrities who are off duty, as it were, look just dressed like tramps.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've seen some not face made up pictures and they look really normal, so you probably would just walk around.
But we're talking like Captain America, who's pretty
big.
His arms are massive. I mean,
Yeah.
he held out.
Well, the guy did recognise him as being a specimen.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, and he did hold up a helicopter with one arm.
Although I'm sure Apple would have brought him in for a proper investigation, given he was letting people use the computer to do honeymoon research as opposed to actually decide whether or not to buy a computer.
No, but I thought you could browse the internet at the Apple Store.
Can you?
I'm
What?
PC, mate. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
You're asking the wrong person. I don't subscribe to their Uber buy all their stuff malarkey, which is why they're not a sponsor, because I know they wanted to be.
Well, they could be a sponsor because I'd take all your products. I'm a big fan.
We've got a house full of Apple.
Have you? What?
And
do
the fruit.
What, do you own a greengrocers?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Write
that.
in and let us know.
I mean, yeah.
Do
Pretty
Apple
sure
let-
you can go into the Apple Store and browse if you want to browse.
I mean,
Really?
Yeah, like you can use the
well,
internet.
use their internet on there
Yeah,
with their
100%.
proprietary software. Do you
Yeah.
have to pay for it?
No, man, you just go in and Google whatever. I'm sure I've seen that in America.
Google whatever.
Obviously, within reason, they probably got porn sites like Blocks or whatever.
Apple's got
but-
porn sites now. I mean, talk about diversifying.
That's just a joke, by the way. Satire.
He's bothered now because the income we're getting off
cannot-
Apple.
We cannot afford to fight Apple on any legal fronts.
But if PC want to be a sponsor,
I mean, I loved that scene anyway.
is that because it's Apple?
No, I just liked the guy. I thought the guy was really funny, and how Romanoff sort of goes, "Oh, wow, you're practically twins," and he sort of really, quite nicely and fondly and casually goes, "Yeah, but you know, specimen,"
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is nice.
Yeah.
What do we think about the dynamic between Natasha and Steve?
They'd make a cute couple, wouldn't they?
I don't think the love interest level. I think they're
No, I
friends. Definitely friend zone.
They are friend zone, but if they wanted to take it to the next level, I
They
think they'd
wouldn't
make
bum.
beautiful kids.
They're just friends. He would look out with her. I think they're not a sister brother thing. I think they're one level up from sister brother, but they wouldn't get intimate. I mean, with a super speed, he'd batter her, wouldn't he? I don't know why I'm looking over there. There's no one there to look at because I'm on my own with you.
You
two.
were looking at me because I ran there and back again
Oh,
with
was that what
super
it was?
speed.
Yeah, super bollocks. I think they are one level up above the love of a brother and sister, and they are a step down from being intimate because I think they both know that it wouldn't work. And then what have you lost? You've lost loads, then, haven't you?
Yeah, they do work well together,
Yeah.
and I think they've got a nice
Chemistry.
vibe. Nice chemistry, and they clearly do care for one another.
And they respect each other, and I think that's why he gets upset when what he thinks betrays his trust, because she does the mission that doesn't tell him. But that's the thing, isn't it?
What about the comparison between their relationship versus hers and Hawkeye?
Well, Hawkeye and her are a bit more of that. They're more than.
It's very similar. I suppose they can relate more because they're a bit more on an even keel powers wise. I guess they've got the same level of mortality, and I think they've got more of a long-standing background.
Hawkeye and her have, yeah. And I think they have had not a dalliance, but I think they've been a bit more.
You think? No.
What?
No.
Okay.
Do you think
don't
Hawkeye
know.
and Natasha have
I
had
don't know enough about the backstory yet.
I think she's got a similar relationship with Hawkeye that she has with Cap, but Hawkeye's has been built over a longer period and therefore perhaps is slightly more long-standing.
Why don't you Google, has Hawkeye porked Black Widow?
I'll go to Apple, do that search.
Whilst getting your latest upgrade. Probably charge you for it.
We find out the main plot because they go to the Shield.
This is the best part
Location.
of this film, by the way.
Which is quite funny because Cap says, why would you have a secret office inside an office, a secret office? So essentially a super secret office. But you absolutely would, though, wouldn't you? I mean, if you're hiding shit, you'd hide more shit inside the shit, just because if that's your thing, you just like hiding stuff.
Well, I liked... So this bit was reminiscent of... Have you seen Meet the Fockers?
Yeah.
So when Robert De Niro's character has underneath his bed a secret like operations center, and he like sort of goes underneath in Winnebago, that type of thing. Because you think, well, why would you need all that? And it's like because you could just have that in
because
Winnebago.
You can.
Yeah,
why
exactly.
would you not?
Exactly. So he's got a super secret thing under his bed in his own Winnebago that no one's really bothered about going on.
Yeah.
So you would, if you could do it, you would.
Totally.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, sure.
Well, geez, from an interior design, can you imagine the amount of money she'd charge for that?
I know. Imagine. What would you quote extra for the super secret office?
A lot, because you want to make it super secret, obviously. No, but I love
Don't
it.
tell her then.
I love it because obviously we thought Armand Zola was gone, done and dusted, and I really liked his character in the first Captain America. So him coming back and being in these computer forms and all this kind of stuff, that's clever technology, that, isn't it?
And when he was explaining their plan, you was sitting there staring, pointing at the screen, going, "That's true. That
happens today."
People give up all their information on social media sites.
I know, and it is highly likely that our brains will be captured in a computer at some point in the future.
Oh, I forgot you two are the mass conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah. Well,
I mean, I'm not arsed because I'll be long since dead by the time they figure out how to use it with any real venom.
Well,
at which point it's everyone else's problem. But
yeah.
Yeah, no.
It's only for your kids, don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, doesn't care, and then he goes, oh, hang on.
That's their problem. We all have our shit to deal with.
It's great because it just gives you an insight into what life is actually going to be like, or is probably already like secretly in a layer that we're not aware of in America.
So would you, if the machine was looking at you and predicting your future and whether or not you do or don't make the cut?
I'm making the cut. I'm valuable.
Yeah, but isn't this a bit like the Minority Report, where you have people who arrest people because they might do something in the future because of a prediction?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I understand the flaw, but are you making the cut?
No.
No, I don't think I am either.
No one. I'm not that.
I've got too much of an opinion on things.
I don't think anyone's going to.
They don't need people like us around either. No. We're just a headache.
Yeah.
Aww.
First wave.
No. Well, if you guys are going, I'm going to.
Yeah, that's because you geg in. You're literally coming along just to be part of it. That's all.
True.
Not because of your own volition. You're coming and goes, oh, I want to be part of something. They might keep you because of your interior design skills.
Oh, my brain?
No, interior design
ideas.
skills. I mean, not your pricing structure. On phase 2, they go too expensive. I think because we're quite opinionated, aren't we?
Yeah,
we're gone. Nobody needs that.
Yeah, no one needs us kicking up the sand.
No, not at all.
If you need to tell people and expect them to do as they're told, we're not you guys. If you tell me something I have to do, I immediately want to say no and find another thing to do. Even if I fundamentally agree with what you've told me because you told me to do it.
Just out of spite.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Do we think Natasha Romanoff is going to make the cut because she has magic hair? Because in the next scene she turns up to the Falcons with dirty hair and then is drying each individual strand with a towel.
Yeah, that didn't
And
make
then
sense.
the next scene has the most beautifully blow-dried hair ever. Or do we think Falcon keeps a hairdryer around just for such an occasion?
That is one of the reasons that I do not go out with Black Widow, is she takes too long to get ready.
I'm surprised that you picked that up, actually.
Well,
You're obviously thinking about how long you get to ready.
Yeah, I can relate.
Really?
Hey, in for a penny, in for a pound. If I'm on that couch, I might as well.
It's on the floor now, by the way.
Sell the couch. It's not feng shui enough.
No.
And we find out that this is the Falcony bit where he alludes to the fact that he did something other than just was a normal soldier, and they arrange to go and steal his machinery, although we don't know what it is, and we don't even see the caper of the theft. We just turn up to throw the bald guy, boo, who's a baddie, and we didn't know he was a baddie, off the roof.
Yeah, we knew from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Did we?
I think we did.
Well, you get a bit more of an indication of who is Hydra and who's not Hydra with the politician and that person, and then Bucky turning up to
Senator Stern he didn't know was Hydra, but it makes sense.
I didn't know it was Senator Stern because between the first film and the second film he'd had a bit more of his ass lifted onto his forehead.
Yeah. Well, he was the one who... Well, you know who he is because he's the one who's trying to get this technology off Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And Tony Stark goes, no.
You just stick to facelifts.
Yeah. Have some more Botox.
Cap then finds himself having a fight with...
Bucky.
Well, he doesn't know it's Bucky, and then he does know it's Bucky.
He's like, oh, Bucky. And he's like, who's Bucky?
Does he say it in such a high pitch?
Yeah.
Fucky Bucky.
Oh, yeah. As you've coined... Lucky fucky Bucky.
Yeah, good fight scene.
Yes, very good. Actually, good. Again, good use of the tableau from the comics. Mr. Pollard picked up the tableau from the first film with him wearing the propaganda-style costume and pose is taken from when he's punching Hitler, which is taken straight from the comics. So they've again made good use of the tableau with the shield grab and the main one is when he fists Captain America.
Pardon?
Winter Soldier.
Ruder.
Back in the room. He fists. It doesn't sound any better, does it?
No, you need to rephrase that.
When Winter Soldier punches the shield, that is taken straight from the comics.
Okay.
The fist hitting the shield is from the comics.
Okay.
As is Winter Soldier grabbing the shield, because in the comics he becomes Captain America.
Yeah, interesting.
Cool.
Because there's a number of people in the comics who become Captain America.
When they read it, over the course of storylines, because obviously what they tend to do in the comics is when they run through a set. So, for example, they've been going since the 70s onwards. So as new illustrators take on the story, they adapt it. So they kind of update things.
So do we think Bucky could become the new Captain America?
No.
I would want him to.
Yeah,
because there is legacy for that because he does, and as we've already established, Bucky Barnes is now enhanced with the thing. So if, like you say, he gets deprogrammed and he's no longer working for Hydra as a enforcer, he has right to the shield. His arm's vibranium.
I mean, surely it can be the Falcon, given he described himself as being I do what he does except shitter. Slower. Yeah. I meant slower because he's obviously got super speed, but I read that as shitter.
Yeah, well, he means with less stamina because obviously over time you would slow down, wouldn't you?
Anyway, at this point, don't we realise that Fury's not dead? Woo!
Woo woo! Oh yeah.
So that's a nice thing.
You're welcome.
I wish that had happened to Coulson, but that's...
we have to wish, don't we?
Yeah. That's nice, and then it all kicks off.
Not before Stan Lee gets his cameo. It always makes me feel sad when I see Stan Lee in cameos now.
In camouflage?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have him back, aren't you? If this multi-million pound deal goes through with Disney.
What?
Well, I understand from what I've read in the news recently that the family have done a deal to have Stan Lee appear in cameos, possibly audio, and
cool.
at the when you go to these tourist attractions, the parks and things, to have his voice used.
Oh, cool.
And they've signed a multi-million deal.
Oh, very good. Final act. It's a pretty typical Marvel final act. Lots of banging, lots of action, lots of explosions and fighting and shit. I suppose the main elements are obviously the Hydra people come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, not all of them, but most of them.
And Cap has to fight Bucky, but decides he won't because he loves him. Yeah, because he's his mate.
Yeah, that's the most poignant scene of that whole last act, isn't it? The fact that they have that relationship and that interaction, and then obviously he saves Cap at the end, doesn't he? Because he pulls him out of the water.
Yep.
So something has clicked in Bucky in between all that fighting.
Yeah.
And hopefully you hope that like the Bucky inside is coming out to be a goodie.
Well, I mean, it's an evolution of the character, isn't it? And that's what's good. What fans buy into is you want three-dimensional characters, don't you? That's believable and relatable. And because of the duality, he is believable, because it's not unreasonable that, give him a metal arm. It's not actually, he's not any, once you remove his arm, he's like Iron Man says, what am
he's
I?
armless.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I do the jokes. But he's just got a super powered arm, which isn't anything special.
Yeah.
Once you take that off, he's enhanced because he's also got some of the super serum in him, and he's been
he's left armless. Way
he's here all week.
Oh my days.
I know. I have to put up with this.
Yeah, you.
Yeah. Oh, actually, you married him. But yeah, so he's another person that hasn't got huge powers. He hasn't got heat rays or things like that. So it's believable that you've got, they cancel each other out, because you've got him with a super arm that just keep punching Cap's shield all the time. Cap's got the strength to just be able to just take that, and after a point you have to kind of go, well, you're just going to cancel each other out. And because of the fact that he's been programmed, then what you come down to is the only thing that overcomes for the win is Captain speaking to him as Bucky Barnes, and speaking to the emotional side, which is, do you not know who I am? And that's I
tried that once to get in somewhere, and they said no.
So I think that was what it came down to. It came down to the fact that Bucky Barnes knows and has history with Captain America, because the two of them could have just fought like that all day, and as Captain America says, I can do this all day.
Forth. Yeah, exactly. Nobody would have won.
No, because he's got a vibranium arm.
Yeah.
Against a vibranium shield.
Yeah.
That would have carried on.
Yeah.
Until something, and obviously both of them can do a shield.
But who do you think would win? Because eventually one of them might get tired or would lose. Who do you think would win in that fight?
America.
I think Captain America would win. Simply because he's enhanced.
Exactly.
He's got two arms.
Yeah.
Well, Bucky's enhanced, but he's
not super serum enhanced.
He hasn't got super serum enhanced the level that Captain America is.
Does he not? I thought he did.
He's got some, but it's like Captain Britain or Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
Has some, but it doesn't give you, each one doesn't end up having the whole point of the super serum, as we've established in previous episodes, is it enhances the characteristics of the individual.
Okay. So
if you are inherently good, then it will enhance those needs. If you're bad, you'll end up being a bit bad, which is what, so for example, like with the Hulk, for example, they messed around with the super serum. So when he had it with the gamma radiation effect, it made him the Hulk. But then when Abomination took it, it made him bad. And then Red Hulk is a different thing again. And as you go on and so on and so on and so forth, it sort of, each person is different. So it affects the metabolism or the cellular and genetic makeup of that person.
Got you.
Which is why X-Men and mutants have different mutations. It's why with the Inhumans, for example, when they take the Genesis, or whatever it's called, the rock that they crack that's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if funnily enough, you either die or pterogenesis, I think it's called. Whatever happens, you either die or you inherit some sort of latent ability, which is where the Inhumans are like the original ones, but that's where that pterogenesis comes from. Because it's somewhere in your, like what they call the mutant gene,
right?
So I suppose it's a bit like we all carry cancer cells, but it takes something to activate those cells.
Yeah,
it's like that.
I see. Okay, the ending ends as we all expect, where the goodies win,
Hurrah.
And it all comes to an end, and we all move on happily ever after, or we get post-credit scenes that throw a cat amongst the pigeons that suggest things are still to come.
I haven't watched the post credit in this one, actually.
Okay.
Shall we discuss them?
Well, what did you think of the post?
The second of the post credit, which is obviously Bucky going to the museum and learning about himself, is sort of exciting, or was exciting at the time, because it shows that he's getting in touch with who he was, and hopefully that will result in us getting Bucky back again, which is cool.
Yeah.
But it leaves the door open because there's no guarantee he will, because he's got a long way to come back.
Yes.
To do that. For me, the most exciting post-credit was seeing the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver appear, particularly because at the time Disney didn't own X-Men rights, and so this created a massive multiverse quandary because, of course, Scarlet Witch is famous for being the daughter of
Both of them are.
Magneto. Well, yes, sorry, both of them are Magneto and
Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix. So Dark Phoenix and Magneto create Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, well, they were the legal wranglings were so much as because they appear in the Avengers and the X-Men, they were allowed to use them. They just couldn't cast the same characters.
Yeah.
So they were allowed to use them. However, we don't know them as Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in this. They're just known as their names.
Yeah.
Which is Pietro and Wanda Maximoff.
But it's quite exciting because any
absolutely.
comic book people would have seen this and gone, what the actual fuck, they're X-Men.
Yeah.
Whilst knowing that X-Men was owned by someone else.
They've changed. They didn't allude to. They weren't. Well, Marvel weren't at the time allowed to use the word mutants or X-Men. They've just kind of created the backstory, which is the powers that they have are a result of the Tesseract.
Because we find ourselves in a slightly weird situation around about this time because we ended up with two Quicksilvers in two different universes, didn't we?
We did.
We ended up with the X-Men Quicksilver and this Quicksilver.
We did with the prequel X-Men movies, yeah.
And you'd have been happy because you've seen Baron von what's-his-face? Von Strucker.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't, on the basis you haven't seen them, you wouldn't have cared about any of them?
No, I wouldn't. But I'm excited that Bucky goes back.
Okay. Well, what Easter eggs do we have in this episode?
So there was this particular film was filled chock full of Easter eggs, callbacks, links to the comics. Can
I sneak in early and say I heard the word Stephen Strange mentioned, and so that was an exciting Easter egg?
Well, you just read my mind because I'm literally about to talk about
that. Was probably one of the few ones I did pick up on, but how cool was that?
So, taking your thing that you picked up, which was my first Easter egg, Stephen Strange is mentioned by name by Jasper Sitwell, which is the guy who we find out works for works for Hydra, and he's mentioned that to Cap on the rooftop. The first time we've had reference to Doctor Strange in the MCU before, so it kind of opens up the Marvel universe a bit more. But this is when he's revealing, as per most villains do when before they meet the demise, give the whole backstory to their plan and monologue the whole plan, and he tells them that what Hydra's planning to do to eliminate all the men and women who could pose a threat to their organisation, among the likes of, and he name drops Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, but he also mentions, and I've done some extracurricular backstory to this, he also mentions a valedictorian in Iowa City, which...
A valedictorian?
Thank you, yeah. Valedictorian in Iowa City, who could be Ethan Edwards. Now, Ethan Edwards in the comics is a Skrull whose father created the Super Skrull, and Ethan Edwards ended up working alongside Peter Parker at the Daily Bugle. Now, also is mentioned... he also became the crime fighter Moral Man. Now, so we don't. This is
what a shit name.
I know. All the other good ones were taken.
Who are you hiding, Moral Man?
Yeah.
Oh, really? You pompous ass.
I think Immoral Man was gone. Sitwell also mentions a man located in Cairo, Egypt.
Is that Moon Knight?
So Moon Knight.
Oh, cool.
Who could be the only one in Cairo, a former mercenary who's transformed into the Egyptian moon god's physical avatar, Mark Spector, and would go on to be a vengeful spirit. So that's the two people who are mentioned in this movie that could be. And for those fans who, well, it's not a spoiler, is it? Because Moon Knight's out.
Yeah.
And so you think back to
it's
when that film...
It's incredible that you think how long ago that film came out.
Yeah.
Over 10 years.
Well, Marvel do this all the time. They don't leave anything on the table. There's things that have been mentioned years ago, and it comes to pass. Now, whether they do that because they think, well, we've got it there if we need to do it, and we can pick it up when we want to. Ezekiel 25:17, which is on Nick Fury's tombstone, is a Bible passage that should be familiar to anyone who's a Quentin Tarantino fan, because that was the film that that Samuel Jackson was in. During the targeting sequence for Project Insight, one of the crosshair points at the redesigned Stark Tower, was sporting the A from the end of Avengers, which was stated as a target for Hydra. But when Anthony Stark is found, an image of what appears to be Stark Tower is shown. However, according to the directors, it's not Stark Tower, but in fact a future fully fledged Avengers Tower from the comic books.
Wow.
Senator Stern, we find out, is part of the Hydra's plan as well. He works with Hydra, so it kind of puts a bit more perspective into why he wanted Tony Stark's technology from Iron Man 2, which I thought was quite funny, and as you say, was full of the old Botox. His forehead was flatter than an iron. Banner von Strucker, he gets mentioned by name, which also shows that the death of Hydra has only resulted in 2 more taking its place, and that the work that's been going on with Baron Wolfgang von Strucker, who was also seen in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and also interesting to note in the comics, he has ties to the Wrecking Crew, which is my prediction for She-Hulk. Another interesting fact that Andreas von Strucker, the son of Baron von Strucker, became swordsman, who is from another show that's recently just been on Disney Plus, who are not a sponsor, which was Hawkeye. Correct. And his daughter Andrea von Strucker became Black Knight, both seen in the Fox show The Gifted, which was Fox, which is probably now, well, it will be Marvel. The twins, which are these survivors, inverted commas, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, hints that they were the only ones to survive the experiments, which was done with Loki's staff. Post-credit scene, direct tie-in to the Avengers, Age of Ultron.
How have they managed to get hold of the staff? Is that because S.H.I.E.L.D. took it off Loki?
Well, because Loki, it became the Tesseract, didn't it? And the Red Skull stole it, and obviously Hydra is a link to the Red Skull.
So is the
well, because S.H.I.E.L.D.'s got it, and
I
Hydra
thought
is S.H.I.E.L.D.
Thor took it back, or did he not? Did he leave it with S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Well, he left it with S.H.I.E.L.D. because you were
at
Captain
the end
Marvel.
of Avengers,
Captain Marvel
Assemble.
Who in Captain Marvel's with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., isn't it?
Yeah, but then in Thor...
But in the chronological timeline, this film is based after Avengers Assemble.
And
in Avengers Assemble, obviously Loki has the staff, gets the staff taken off of him.
By
And
Thor.
The question is, did Thor take it back to Asgard, or did he give it to S.H.I.E.L.D. to look after?
I'm sure he took it to Asgard.
But at the time of prior to him taking it back from anyone, those experiments could have been going on before, so maybe it's worth just assuming that before somebody took it anywhere.
It was pre-assemble.
Yeah, pre-assembled, which is the name of the sequel.
Yeah.
Ed Brubaker, who was responsible for bringing Bucky Barnes to life as the Winter Soldier, makes a cameo as one of the scientists to the brainwashed assassin. Crossbones gets his debut, which is Brock Rummelow, who fights Falcon at the end and managed to survive the helicarrier crash of 2014.
He's such a knob.
But they haven't, so he hasn't got his mask in this, but they've given him 2 belts that give him the crossbones look. So he hasn't got his comic look with the crossbones across his mask. He's just got 2 like gun belts or whatever they are in a cross, just to give him that thing. The one that you picked up about Sharon Carter's niece, ending in Carter.
Peggy Carter's niece, Sharon Carter.
Correct. She's there. There's because of the directors, the Russo brothers, or the Russo brothers, should I say, who directed this. They've thrown in a little cheeky Easter egg from because they directed a couple of episodes of Community. If you've seen that, very funny film, not sponsored, but very funny series, should I say. Danny Pudi and DC Pearson are in this, and one plays the Apple Genius and one plays the Triskelion guard that Cap holds up, and they've kind of played Pudi and Abed in the Community TV show. Interestingly, the list that is given by Sam to read for Cap's sort of history buff knowledge changed in each country the film was shown.
Okay.
So for America and sort of UK audiences, it was like watch the Beatles, and then if it went to Korea, it would be K-pop.
Right.
K-pop.
I'm down with the kids.
Yeah, you are.
In this, we get to see Captain America's Secret Avenger suit. That's from the comics. They obviously were careful to throw in the first Captain America film his wartime suit, and in this one they've taken his darker colour shift to his covert missions, which is taken from the comics, and we may see in the future his patriotic suit. Again, the Who Needs a Parachute is literally taken from the universe.
Patriotic suit?
Yeah.
How can you get more patriotic than having the red, white, and the blue splattered all over your suit? That's interesting.
More stars. The line he says, "Who needs a parachute?" is from the Ultimate comic where he hates parachutes, and they've just used it in the film. The Lemurian star has two links. This is the opening credit scene where he jumps out the back of the plane onto it. First of all, the name of the ship is a nod to a race of aliens called the Lemurians, and they had possible ties to the deviants that were created by the Celestials. And the villain Batroc is taken from the comic villain Batroc the Leaper, and they've kept his purple and gold coloured costume similar in the film. Alexander Pierce, which is a fantastic casting because it's played by Robert Redford, who anyone who's a fan of Robert Redford will know played several roles in similar type spy movies. And
love Robert Redford.
Yeah, I think he's fantastic. And also anyone who's familiar with his best friend, Paul Newman, a side Easter egg, a product placement that appears in the movie, which is the Newman's own product was Paul Newman.
That's called pulling strings for your mate.
Yeah, well, Paul Newman, they were best friends until he died in 2008, so I thought that was quite nice. The helicarriers have had an upgrade. The propulsion engines that are in the new helicarriers are the design thanks to Tony Stark, because since his last encounter in Avengers, where he went through one of them,
they have an emergency cancel button.
He's decided to update them to repulsors rather than actual bladed engines, which means that Tony Stark learns from his mistakes. Yeah, winning. Widow's necklace, a suggestion that Hawkeye and Black Widow are more than just friends. You're welcome. She wears an arrow necklace. See, I put the legwork in, so you don't need to. Do you just buy random women necklaces, do you?
You buy your friends presents. We bought you a Christmas present, didn't we?
You didn't buy me a necklace with a bell end on it.
No, we bought you a time stone.
Well, I went back in time and I took it back.
And you got me an advent calendar, which was a Star Trek ball cube.
Yeah, but that's because you're my mate.
And yeah, well, no.
Yeah, but I didn't buy a necklace with a bloody ball
He's
thing.
Herblite, so he bought her a necklace. Going, arrows are cool. Anyway. I
mean, that's another husband and wife conversation right there, isn't it? If you buy a lady a necklace, is that acceptable when you're married?
No.
Okay, done.
Definitely not.
I mentioned it before, the shield punch that Marvel have managed to include straight from the comics, the punch that Winter Soldier does to Captain America's shield. Then we'll also know from the comics that Bucky Barnes goes on to become a force for good and become a Captain America, which is also visually alluded to when he throws and wields the shield. Zola's transcendence. Ishtar, you mentioned Armin Zola in the comics. Not quite exactly how he is in the comics, because he has like a exoskeleton suit that he has, but they've tried to do what they can where they put his brain on a computer screen, but he has a mechanized suit in the comics, and he's able to transfer his consciousness into in the comics it's a robotic suit using notes left by the deviants.
Whenever I see that scene, all I can think about Futurama, the heads in the jars.
Yeah, well, I always thought that because my inability to keep up with modern technology, I would end up in a really old computer and go, hello, I'm not ready on the Apple 27.
Bit like your phone.
Well, exactly. I'd end up on that, which is in the shop getting repaired as we talk. Shall We Play a Game is a throwback to the Matthew Broderick film War Games, if anyone's familiar with that. And then finally, cameos. Joe Russo makes a cameo in the film, being the doctor that helps Black Widow. And then, as you said, Mark, Ballard.
Yes, dear.
It sounds weird when I say your name, which is weird, isn't it? Stan Lee once again makes a cameo as the security guard at the Smithsonian.
Go on. Bloody hell, put your teeth in.
I know, yeah. Smithsonian. There you go. That's it.
Amazing.
Excellent. Some great facts. So let's move on to my favourite part of the show, which is the ranking section. You did hear that correctly. Each episode, we give the movie a score out of 10, and it therefore falls within what will ultimately be a list of rankings of our films, so we'll be able to see which were our favourites.
Yeah.
We also rank our favourite characters. So at the end of all of this, we will have our top 10 favourite characters. The rules are quite simple. They need to be in the film. And personally, I would caveat that with more than 5 seconds. And we can only move them if they've been in a film. So, for example, if Loki is number 4, you can't move him up or down until he's in the actual film. So, let's start with the movie ranking out of 10.
Yep.
Ish, do you want to go first and let
Yes.
us know what you think this film gets out of 10?
Yeah. So,
And why?
yeah, sure. So let me go through what my top 9 were first, and then I can add me extra one. So I had Avengers Assemble 9 out of 10, number 1. Iron Man 1, 9 out of 10, number 2. At number 3, I had Iron Man 2, 8 out of 10. Thor 7 out of 10, number 4. Captain America First Avenger was 5. Iron Man 3 was 6 with 6 out of 10. Thor Dark World 6 out of 10 was 7. Captain Marvel 6 out of 10 was 8. And Hulk was 1 out of 10, 10. Now for Captain America Winter Soldier, he's coming in at number 6, so he is going above Iron Man 3 but below Captain America First Avenger, and it's going in at 7 out of 10. I don't think it was any worse or any better than the first movie. There wasn't really a big bad that I was really happy with, and Bucky came in a little bit more, so I think that deserved the 7.
Okay, so Latham?
I'll tell you what your top 10 were, Latham, or top 9. So you had Avengers Assemble 9 out of 10, number 1. Iron Man 2, 9 out of 10, number 2. Number 3, Iron Man 3, 8 out of 10. Number 4, Iron Man 2, 8 out of 10. Captain Marvel was number 5, 8 out of 10. Captain America First Avenger 7 out of 10. Number 7 was Thor 7 out of 10. 8 was Thor Dark World 7 out of 10. And Hulk was 6 out of 10 at number 9. So where's Captain America not First Avenger, Falcon,
Winter
whatever.
Soldier.
Yeah.
Pick one.
You're just making up the titles again now.
Seriously.
Marvel want to employ you.
I know.
So I'm going to give this film 8 out of 10.
Wow.
And I'm going to put it above Iron Man 3, which I also gave. So it's going in at 3.
Wow. Right.
Wow.
And the reason quickly of why, Winter Soldier.
Aw.
If I was going to be a villain, one of the ones that I would have, because I wouldn't be an egotistical villain, would be Winter Soldier. I quite like the idea of being an assassin with meta-human abilities, but ones that are believable.
Yeah.
So I can't grow my arm back, but I've got a metal arm and I could punch you right out.
Okay. Interesting. Pollard, shall I read your number 10 so we've got some consistency?
Do it.
Okay. So now your number 1 was Avengers Assemble 10 out of 10. Number 2, Iron Man 9 out of 10. Number 3, Captain America First Avenger 8 out of 10. Number 4, Thor 1 8 out of 10. Number 5, Iron Man 3 8 out of 10. 6, Iron Man 2 8 out of 10. 7, Captain America 7 out of 10. Thor Dark World 6 out of 10. And at number 9 was Hulk at 4 out of 10. Where is Winter Soldier going?
Winter Soldier's also going in at number 3 for me.
Wow.
I'm going to give it 9 out of 10.
Is that just because it's the Cap?
No, it's a great film. It's got espionage, it's got cliffhangers, it's got people you think are dead, it's got great characters being brought back, but in a completely new and interesting way. It's nuanced. I mean, just from the beginning debates that we had about this film, that gives you an indication of all the clever topics that it opens it up to. And there are no right and wrong answers, except obviously mine, which are the right ones.
In your humble opinion.
That's the beauty of this film. It's just a clever film, and it's right on my speed. I love all the espionage stuff, so this is exactly the kind of film that I enjoy.
I expected you to have that high of a score for Captain America, though. Right, Latham?
And it's got the cap in.
Yeah. I'm surprised it's not 10, but okay.
Right, favourite characters?
Okay. No change in mine.
At all?
At all. I had, at the moment, my top 10 is Loki number 1, Black Widow number 2, and she was still as good, Iron Man 3, Thor 4, Nick Fury 5, Hulk 6, which is a new Hulk, Hawkeye 7, Cap is at 8, and 9's Coulson and 10's Thanos, and I wouldn't change any of that.
So you would keep Captain America below Hawkeye still?
Basically, yeah. All right, Latham, shall I read out yours?
Yeah, if you want.
Your top 10 at the moment. Iron Man is 1, Loki's 2, Talos 3, Red Skull 4, Aldrich Killian 5, Bucky Barnes at 6, Travis Slattery at 7, Captain America at 8, Agent Peggy Carter at 9, and Ronan the Accuser at 10. Any change?
There was one.
Oh?
Winter Soldier's going in at 2.
Oh, wait, can we do that? Separate Bucky Barnes and Winter Soldier?
Oh, you wouldn't let me do it with the Mandalorian and bloody... Not Mandalorian, you wouldn't let me do it with bloody the Mancurian candidate. What's his name?
No.
Are you kidding me?
Do you know what? I think I'm gonna let him do that.
What?
You couldn't... He wouldn't let me do
It's the same
it...
fucking person.
You wouldn't let me do it with bloody the Mandarin and... well, yes, actually, do it. Because it is a different character.
It is not.
It's called Winter Soldier, for fuck's sake.
It's the same bloody person.
It's not called Captain America Bucky Barnes, is it?
I suppose to argue for Latham, he has no consciousness as Bucky Barnes.
Not me.
He doesn't even know who Bucky Barnes is, and therefore it is almost like having a completely separate person. He's got different superpowers to Bucky Barnes.
He's got an arm.
Didn't we say that if it was on IMDb as a separate character, that was the only way that it would be added to the list? And I'm pretty sure if you can't do
We did say that last
IMDb,
week, actually. IMDb it, and it says Winter Soldier. He's in. Admittedly, on a default.
And where would he have gone?
Number 2.
Okay.
Above.
That's exciting.
Moving him down, so I lose Ronan the Accuser.
The tension while he's trying to find out whether he's on IMDb.
The only reason you wouldn't let me have the Mandalorian, fucking Mandarin, is because he wasn't on IMDb as...
It says Bucky Barnes Winter Soldier as one person.
No, it doesn't. It says Bucky Barnes / Winter Soldier.
So it's the same fucking person. You cannot.
And the bleak is a separation.
No, not having any of that.
It wasn't.
You move Bucky Barnes up, or you don't move him at all.
I think what's happened here is you've gagged into we make the rules. Right.
It has to make sense.
No, it does make sense because it isn't the Bucky Barnes bracket Winter Soldier. No. It's a bleak, it's a separation.
It's not two different people.
I suppose to play devil's advocate for a second, what happens in the future, because obviously
Winter Soldier isn't going to be there.
He's going to start learning about Bucky Barnes, at which point does he become Bucky Barnes again? But he's still got Winter Soldier's powers?
No, we say he'll be Bucky Barnes because he's not known as Winter Soldier. At the moment, he's Winter Soldier. He's literally Winter Soldier.
So when does he not become Winter Soldier?
When he's back to being Bucky Barnes.
Which is
when he has self-understanding of who he is. Are you joking me?
Seriously.
It's called Winter Soldier.
Oh my days.
The whole film's called Winter Soldier. So Avengers Assemble, you can't call it the Avengers.
I mean, don't look at me, I'm kind of on your side, but...
You also make the rules. It's your rules.
But you've never fucking listened to the rules. It's alright. I love the fact you suddenly decided to listen to the rules.
I listened to the rules last time when you wouldn't let me have the Mandarin.
Well, we've got Thunderbolt Ross, Abomination, and Ronan the Accuser in, none of which you listened to me when I was trying to make the rules. So I do sort of feel like you've made a run for your own back by ignoring the rules.
You would not let me have Mandarin. Yes, last time we did the recording because he wasn't mentioned, and the Mandarin.
Yeah, the Mandarin wasn't mentioned.
Well, it technically wasn't mentioned on IMDb. If you go onto Google and put in his character,
IMDb is a thing.
I think because you've totally disregarded the rules previously about the Abomination.
Oh my god!
I'm totally going to annoy you in the same way as you've annoyed me up to this point by ignoring the rules by agreeing. So, are you keeping Bucky Barnes / the Winter Soldier at 6?
No, I'm going to move Bucky Barnes right up to number 2 because, as far as I'm concerned, he's a Winter Soldier.
Okay.
All right.
And actually, what
put him in as / because he's already in there.
Yeah,
put him in / Winter Soldier because that's what I'm going to put him as.
Yeah, fine.
Because we're going to follow the rules
that makes
that
sense.
Ishtar's making up on our podcast.
That makes more sense. Fucking hell.
And also, then while we're doing that, can you put / Mandarin under Trevor Slattery then, please?
Yeah, but isn't that more... Didn't we say that the Mandarin was Aldrich Killian?
No. Because because IMDb did not have Trevor Slattery as Mandarin.
So you can't put him as Mandarin then?
No, but someone else did.
IMDb has Bucky down as Bucky / Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So no, that's doubly annoying.
What else have we got on? Because let's see what else. Have we got Nick Fury on that list at all?
Nick Fury is at number 15 on your list.
Okay, well let me just take him off.
Is there?
Okay, I'm going to put Crossbones on now.
God, he's not a good. He's got no superpowers.
No, I like him though.
Really?
Yeah, well,
it
I
is
wasn't
his
going.
list,
You forced
but
me. You forced
yeah.
me into this now.
Where's he going?
Well, he's gonna have to go at the bottom, isn't he? So Agent Peggy Carter's going.
You're bumping Peggy Carter.
Wait, no, you're bumping Ronan the Accuser.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna have to go put him where he needs to be. Ronan the Accuser is gonna have to go down, and I'm gonna put Crossbones in.
All right, after Peggy Carter.
Yeah, just out of spite.
That's fine, because Rum the Accuser shouldn't have been on there anyway, to be perfectly honest.
True that. All right.
I see there's a shift in the force.
What you do with Nick Fury, because you ummed and hard. He's sitting at...
I know, but I haven't got that many more people. He's already in the film. But am I allowed to move people around because he's in the film?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you can move him up if you want.
No, I'm probably going to move him down.
He's at 16. The only person he's above is Happy Hogan.
Right, yeah.
So he's... He's just doing it to wind us up now. I feel this.
Should have just let me have Winter Soldier, shouldn't
No, I'm fine with it.
Don't bother me. No, we're top 5.
Anyways, Pollard, shall I read out your top 10?
Please do.
Cap, number 1. Iron Man, number 2.
You see, you've fucked this up, haven't you? Number 3 is Loki. 4's Thor. 5, Black Widow. 6, Hawkeye. 7, Hulk, the second incarnation. 8, Nick Fury. 9, Happy Hogan. And 10, Darcy Lewis.
Okay.
Darcy.
She was funny.
All right.
I liked her witty bands.
What's your new list then?
So Black Widow's getting promoted up to number 3 because she's brilliant. Mm-hmm. And I would have liked to have bumped her up early in this, but we obviously had to. But we had to respect the fact that she played smaller parts in the previous roles. Mm-hmm. But she's back to being awesome, and so she goes in number 3. Not that it matters, but for the purposes of this, I've added Falcon and Bucky Barnes as 11 and 12 on my list. Mm-hmm. They may break into the top 10. It was touch and go whether I'd put Bucky Barnes / the Winter Soldier in above Darcy Lewis, but Darcy's witty bants just came ahead.
They ain't going to stop you from an invasion, are they, with witty bants?
Well, they don't need to, because I've got Hulk, Thor and Loki and Black Widow and Iron Man and Captain America number 1 to do all that shit.
I think people should write in this.
Whereas you've got Kevin Slattery.
Kevin Slattery. Yeah, I've got the Mandarin, you mean, yeah, who's got the power of all of the people in his organisation.
I mean, I know we knock it, but your list, Latham, is definitely the list I would go with in a fight.
Ugh, please.
I would.
Trevor?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
no, because you're not looking at this tactical. He has the empowerment of a whole organisation. He has the 10 rings under his fingers.
Crossbones, he's just a crispy chip at the minute.
Well, you know,
Brilliant.
He is still a formidable fighter with his big pumpy fist.
And Peggy Carter's 100 years old.
Well, yeah, but that's why she's near the bottom. She's number 9, isn't she? Nick Fury's dead in this film anyway, so he's out of action.
Yeah, but so far we've established that Crossbones is in hospital, Peggy Carter's 100 years old, and Trevor is actually just...
Yeah, but Trevor is
a Cockney drunk.
Yeah, but people who are in the 10 Rings organisation don't all know that that's the case. That's so I'm looking from a tactical point of view. He has the power to go get him killed, and then maybe Crossbones will turn up with his crispy face and say, "I'm coming for you."
Love it.
But if you want to write in and think and ask people whether we should have had Winter Soldier as a separate entity because he is, then and also Captain America is slower than speed on thingamajig stamina. Bring in, phone in, whatever. Have we got a phone in?
Go on social media at the 2 Marks, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, or email us at the 2 Marks at thepodstation.co.uk. Which film are we doing it?
Age of Ultron, I think it is.
Is it?
Well, that's what the lead in is, the direct lead into Age of Ultron. Just check it.
Yeah, but that was the
Guardians of the Galaxy.
we're going out to space.
Okay, well, that's handy, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about this recording.
The next episode will drop very soon. We're going to do them every fortnight again, like we were doing originally. So we're back on course again. So just keep it peeled. Subscribe to the 2 Marks channel, in which case it will automatically download onto your device of choice. And you can go and search and find us on all of the major platforms. That's Apple, Spotify, Google, Deezer, Stitcher, etc., etc. Yeah, go nuts. Guys, thank you very much as always.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, and also listening to Ishtar. Excelsior!
Get social at the 2 Marks on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Also check them out on YouTube.